was just interesting because, again, it was okay. You know, it was what you expect from a Ric Flair match in 2007.
Yeah, JR and King would actually do a good job of selling the story. You know, you've got Carlito, who's the young guy, the up-and-coming star, who's, I guess, arrogant, and you got the veteran Ric Flair, who's going to teach him a lesson, kind of bring him back down, or humble him, I guess, a bit. But Carlito would be in control most of the match. He'd target the arm. I remember a spot, actually, where Carlito would drop kick his arm into the ring post, which is something I don't think I've ever seen before, or at least I don't recall seeing. Flair would come back with some classic chops, and then Carlito would hit him with a back body drop. Not one of the better back body drops he'd ever took, but Carlito would then go back to working on the arm. Flair would fight out of it with an arm drag. In the end, Carlito would look to hit the backstabber, but Ric Flair would counter, stomp on the leg, and place him in the figure four leg lock, and Carlito would submit. So as you said, interesting call that Flair would pick up the win here, because I get, you know, he's the two-time Hall of Famer, the legend, and for me, greatest wrestler of all time. Well, it's not like he needed the rub or anything here.
No, Ric Flair did not need the rub in the 75th year of his career.
And Carlito was one of the top mid-card guys of this era, who just never seemed to ascend to the top.
Yeah. Again, it was okay. I think I gave it 3 stars, right?
Yeah, I went with 3 as well. I thought it was good.
Yeah, it was just an average match. It was a good way to start a show. They gave him a good amount of time in this, didn't they?
Yeah, they gave him like 15 minutes, 33 seconds, which was the recorded time.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It was good time, good. At this point, Ric Flair's just a solid wrestler. Carlito's a solid wrestler. They're going to give you a decent 3-star match. Good way to start the show. I like this.
Yeah, and I guess what I was saying with Carlito, it's just kind of strange because if you look at like 2006, like WWE had spent some time with guys like, you know, Johnny Nitro, Shelton Benjamin, and then, you know, like in Carlito here. And like they just kind of built him up to where you thought they'd be like maybe like the stars of the future, and then for whatever reason, just none of that ever happened with like any of them.
Carlito, I kind of forgive them for that because, in my opinion, I don't think Carlito could have been a top guy.
Yeah, like as I said, he's one of the best mid-carders they had.
But like you said, Shelton Benjamin should have been used. The guy was a freak athlete. Like that was...
Yeah, because like with Johnny Nitro, like he would later become John Morrison. He'd have some success in WWE, but he never made it as a top guy. He'd actually have more success, really, you could probably say, elsewhere. Shelton Benjamin, same deal. He had success in WWE. He never made it as a top guy. And of course, he was gone for quite some time, but then he returned a few years back and hasn't done anything really worth mentioning. At this point, he's basically become an afterthought, which is very unfortunate. I hate saying that, but then the same deal with Carlito. You know, successful big guy, just never made it as a main eventer.
His best thing was probably tag teaming with Primo.
Oh, but he was the Intercontinental and U.S. champion. Remember, his first feud was with Cena in 2004. Well,
yeah, I remember that feud.
Well, that wasn't maybe like one of the greatest ones, but just the fact that he was going up against John Cena, who was like, at that point, he was like on the rise of becoming like the guy and like winning his first world title. So, and he did beat him in his first match, technically, I guess you could say. So.
Yeah, and he spits in the face of people who don't like to be cool, so you always got to factor that in there.
Yeah, no, but I like Carlito. I hope one day, he's been gone for quite some time as well. I think like 10 years now, but I hope we see him back one day. Back. I hope we do, though.
Yeah, I hope he does too, but I don't think he's coming back.
Yeah, because there have been rumors for years that like there's a chance it could happen. There's actually, I guess he apparently he said, I think recently that he actually was supposed to come back at one point. And they were on board with it, then it just never happened.
Okay.
But Ric Flair would pick up the win, 15 minutes, 33 seconds, 3 stars from both of us. Good match. Good way to start the show. The next we'd have Todd Grisham backstage with Shawn Michaels asking him about Randy Orton punting him in the head on Monday night following a pinfall victory over the World Heavyweight Champ Edge. They'd even show the footage of it, and as Shawn was getting ready to explain himself, Randy would attack him from behind.
And he throw him into this like metal structure behind Todd Grisham.
Yeah, over over in the interview space that was just there for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah.
The next would have the 3-on-1 handicap match for the ECW World Championship. It would be Vince McMahon, the ECW World Champion, with Shane and Umaga against Bobby Lashley. Do-rag Vince.
This was relatively quick. I think it was straight up just he attacked Umaga, threw him out of the ring. He did something to Shane, then he started punching Vince. Shane attacked him, then Bobby threw Shane to the corner. He moved out of the way, so Umaga hit
Shane.
Yeah, so Umaga hit Shane, and then he would spear Umaga and pin Umaga. He'd be ECW champion.
Oh, he'd spear Umaga, but then he'd hit Shane with the power slam. Then he'd pick up.
Okay, hit Shane with the power slam. You're right.
That'd be kind of crappy if he just pinned Umaga right there.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know why I completely forgot about that. Sorry, this match is not memorable.
That's okay. It's okay.
This match is not one. This is not Taker versus Shawn at WrestleMania 25. So what happens then is after that he ends up pinning Shane. He's the ECW champion, but then he gets attacked by Umaga. He gets the thumb to the throat, and then Vince comes down and says, "You may have won the handicap match, but you didn't win the ECW title since you didn't pin me." Which means that this great feud is going to continue, and even though Bobby won the match, Vince McMahon is still ECW champion.
It's not even like the ruling that like makes me upset because it's like he didn't pin the champion. And it's like I guess it's like that's like whatever, but it's just the fact, as you said, that like that would mean that this would have to continue. So if I was like an 07 right now, I'd be like, ugh.
Yeah.
And the other
this
thing,
is terrible.
And the other thing, well, yeah, yeah, it was a complete waste. And the other thing I didn't really get is like, if they wanted to continue this thing where Vince was just trying to get his revenge on him, or whatever, is like, did they really have to make him the champion? Like, why not just have Umaga win it or something?
Yeah, it was the whole thing. Also, this made the ECW title at this point even more worthless than it already was.
Yeah.
So, this whole angle was just so stupid.
Yeah, no, it really was.
Vince with the do-rag and everything, and
the do-rag Vince. Yeah, that in particular probably pissed some people off. I don't know. I thought that part was kind of funny, but that's probably the best thing out of this whole thing, actually.
It is, but the whole storyline in general was just stupid.
Oh no, it is horrible.
They have another match at the next pay-per-view that I think Lashley wins at the next one, right?
One night stand, yeah, he does.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. So, again, what did we give this match star-wise?
Half a star.
Yeah, this was terrible.
I mean, it didn't go very long either, so it's like so it's not like they gave us like anything to really work with. Not that it would have probably been great to begin with, but you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. One thing that was kind of upsetting to hear is I remember before the match would start, like I think it was after Vince got in the ring, like Taz would say that he saw nothing wrong with Vince being the ECW champion and that he wore it well. Well, they put him up to that, but
yeah, obviously,
there's no way he would have actually thought that was good.
No.
Considering that was a title that he once held.
Yes.
When it actually mattered. But I guess one last thing I want to say, though, about this is I was actually surprised to hear the reaction that Lashley got from the crowd.
Yeah, he was over.
Yeah, when he made his entrance, the crowd was behind him, and then they popped when he won. So he never quite made it to the top either. Although I guess there's still time. But
there is, but I never understood why he didn't get pushed.
I don't either.
He has the look. He could wrestle. He was like he. The only thing that was bad with Lashley is that Lashley couldn't talk, obviously. But I don't know. Like, you stick a manager with him or something like it.
Yeah.
He really could have been something.
I know they could have put him with Stryker, or honestly, like beforehand. I mean, they could have put him. Well, I mean, Heyman had walked out when he had like won the title, but I mean, like before that could have been like interesting.
Yeah.
To me, he'd be better as like a heel world champion than a babyface world champion.
Yeah. Mm-hmm, I agree with that.
But yeah, the match would only go 1:14 seconds. So Lashley would win the handicap match, but not the title. Then backstage would have Shawn with the doctor telling him that he can't let him go out there. Pretty much that's all that was. And then next we'd have another singles match. It would be CM Punk versus Elijah Burke. Surprisingly, really good match here.
Yeah. Yeah, I really liked it. You know, I think we all know Elijah Burke sucks, but
wow.
The obviously Punk is great. And didn't CM Punk say Elijah Burke was his worst opponent?
I think he did say that. I don't think Elijah liked that one too much. But I mean, how could you? I don't know if he. I don't think he actually was though. But
yeah, he wasn't. He was not great though.
No, I think Ryback wasn't one of his better ones, but Not to dump on anyone, but I mean, like, those matches like did not work. They were not good.
No, they were terrible.
Yeah, and I'd only say that like it was also a surprisingly really good match because because of the fact of like how much time they gave him on a pay-per-view.
Yeah, I know, especially for an ECW when they already had another match.
Yeah,
on the card.
They gave him back-to-back matches.
They had more. Did they have more matches than SmackDown?
SmackDown had the World Heavyweight title, and I think that was basically it.
They called the tag team match, though, right?
Yeah, but Matt was a SmackDown guy.
Okay, but they just did that, so SmackDown could call them more than one match.
Yeah, which, hey, they made those poor ECW guys call one match like the whole entire freaking time that show existed, so...
Yeah.
And a lot of the time they were early in the show, too, so they just had to either sit there the rest of the time. I'll never forget Royal Rumble 2008, just a quick side note here. I always remember this. They didn't have one match, so they had to sit there, and then they finally let them talk during the Rumble match. Oh, I would have hated that. But CM Punk was still early into his WWE run. Also, that's another thing to point out. And then, oh, sorry.
I was going to say this is when obviously nobody believed in him. Paul Heyman was gone at this point, so nobody was pushing for him to be like a bigger star.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be a while before he'd actually like become something. Because this is even a while before the SES days.
Yo, this is a long time before the SES days. But
now, how close should we to him cashing in on Edge? That's like
we're like a year away.
Yeah,
and he wasn't even the ECW World Champion for the first time yet.
No, he doesn't even. To be completely honest with you, he didn't really pick up steam. He doesn't pick up steam till he cashes in on Hardy.
Yeah, because even when he did on Edge, it was cool in the moment, but it didn't do anything for him.
No, but when he cashed in, because he was a face, but when he cashed in on Hardy and he did the straight edge gimmick, it perfect. It was amazing, obviously. But
well, he cashed in on everyone's hero.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the difference. And then he cashed in on Edge, who was like everyone's villain.
Yeah, and even then, I don't think at that point people were really giving that big of a reaction from Punk.
Yeah, like as I said, how could you not in that particular moment? But at the same time, it's just like, he wasn't even like he honestly wasn't even like one of the top 5 biggest guys in that show at that time. Because he had Michaels, he had Batista, he even had Jericho, he had Batista. I don't know if I said Batista.
Yeah, you did, yeah.
Oh, and John Cena.
What did we give this match star-wise?
We gave it both gave it a 3.5 actually. Elijah Burke, I was never as into that much. Just more so as a wrestler. I thought as a mic guy he was actually good. I actually found him when he was in TNA Wrestling to be entertaining as the Pope D'Angelo De Niro. I thought that was better than what he was doing here. And I know for some people they probably didn't like this one, but we both enjoyed it. I don't know. I thought it was good. I mean, well, I guess another thing to point out is Punk was sporting a ton of tape around his ribs, which I did not catch the reasoning why that was, but he would sell the injury and in the damage that had been done to him, and then Burke would target them as well. So that's Psychology 101. So I appreciate that there.
Yeah.
And then he did him with some body shots, and I remember there was one point where he had suplexed him onto the ropes, and then he kicked him in the stomach. And even Punk would try to avoid a lot of high impact moves to further sell it. So I thought it was really good, and I really liked it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, but they gave it time too, which was nice, like we said.
I mean, 16 minutes and 50 seconds for an ECW singles match after they already did the title deal. I mean, wow, especially for these two guys. I mean, I give them a ton of credit for doing that.
Yeah, so do I.
And I guess one thing I did think that was strange, and also was kind of disrespectful to both the guys, is there was some random point where the crowd just for some reason decided to chant for JBL.
I mean, again, it's an ECW match. Even if it's good, fans aren't going to care. With the way ECW was at this point.
Yeah, because I think it was around this time, or maybe not even had been at this point yet, but eventually the show